all started 100 miles east of Miami when I found myself surrounded by this strange storm.
I think that what he must have experienced is perhaps some kind of a time shift. We don't know, but it's a very curious example of time travel.
Many people have disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle, but now a surviving pilot has shared the first scary story of this dangerous area. Stretching from Miami to Bermuda to Puerto Rico, the Triangle is infamous for the mysterious disappearances of ships and planes. How an experienced pilot could suddenly lose all sense of direction. Join us as we reveal the unexpected discovery of the pilot who managed to escape the deadly triangle. The uncertainty in the Atlantic sky. Bruce Gernon is a pilot, author, and researcher. His experiences in the sky have fascinated many people. His story, whether viewed as an encounter with a rare natural event or just a flight that turned into an exaggerated tale, still captures people's interest. Some people might doubt Bruce's story, thinking it was due to natural weather events or navigation mistakes, not anything supernatural. The area he traveled is well known, and most trips are uneventful. However, Bruce's tale still intrigues those who love mysterious stories. It adds to the long history of spooky tales and legends about the Bermuda Triangle, mixing facts with folklore and feeding our curiosity about the unknown. At only 23 years old, Bruce was already an experienced pilot, confidently handling the controls of a brand-new Bonanza A-36. His expertise was complemented by his father, a seasoned pilot with years of flying experience. They had just completed a routine survey in Andros for a potential new resort and were familiar with the flight path back to Miami, having flown it numerous times. The Bonanza A-36 is highly regarded in the aviation community for its top-notch performance and reliability. Bruce often remarked that the aircraft's superior capabilities had safely seen him through many flights. His belief in the aircraft's prowess wasn't just a casual comment. It reflected a genuine trust in its ability to manage the unpredictable elements of flight. They departed from Andros Town Airport around 3 p.m., expecting an exciting hour-and-a-half trip to Miami under clear skies. However, shortly after takeoff, Bruce noticed something unusual. Directly in their path, about 2 miles ahead, was an oval-shaped cloud. Unlike the other clouds moving with the wind, this one seemed to stay in place, resembling a lenticular cloud known for its stationary, lens-shaped appearance. This cloud was quite large, about 1.5 miles long and 1,000 feet thick, with its top reaching up to 1,500 feet. It was sharply defined, with smooth edges that set it apart from the more randomly shaped clouds in the sky. Its stark whiteness and solid look made it stand out against the blue sky, making Bruce take a closer look and decide to slightly adjust their flight path to avoid it. As they got closer, the cloud looked even thicker and less see-through. It wasn't just a normal cloud. It seemed more solid, almost like it was made of something heavier than vapor. This made Bruce steer away, a choice his father agreed with by giving a knowing look. He often said, "Always respect what you see up here," reminding them that the skies are full of dangers. In Bruce's book, Beyond the Bermuda Triangle, he talks about seeing a strange cloud at a very low height, just 19,500 feet. Typically, these clouds are found much higher, around 20,000 to 40,000 feet. But Bruce, perhaps not too concerned or just used to strange things happening around the Bermuda Triangle, flew right through it without much worry. Bruce's account could have been an opportunity to look more into unusual weather patterns. Instead, it comes across as a simple acceptance of the strange, without much scientific inquiry. The reader is left to wonder if this was just an illusion or something more, but the discussion doesn't go further. Like the cloud itself, the story moves on, leaving us to ponder what really happened without providing any deeper exploration. Bruce soon discovered the sky's true challenge. the inescapable dangers of the dark clouds. The clouds above were not just harmless puffs of water vapor, they were huge, unstable masses that could cause dangerous weather. It was worrying to think that the plane was unknowingly competing with such a powerful force in the sky. As the plane ascended, the cloud below continued to expand rapidly. It seemed as if it was actively pursuing the aircraft, intent on overtaking it. As the plane reached a height of nearly a mile above the ground, the enormous cloud appeared to mock the aircraft, closely mimicking its every maneuver. It was as though the sky had set a snare, drawing the plane higher with the promise of clear skies that remained just out of reach. Then, quite suddenly, the cloud enveloped the aircraft. The plane experienced a slight tremor due to an updraft, and visibility was reduced to less than 100 feet. The surroundings became obscured by a dense gray fog. For a tense half-minute, the aircraft seemed to be lost within this vast blanket of gray, until it finally emerged from the other side. However, the situation was not yet resolved. The persistent cloud continued to rise alongside the aircraft. Despite efforts to ascend more rapidly, the cloud seemed to anticipate each move, maintaining a dangerous proximity. Once again, it surrounded the aircraft, submerging it into a world of gray. Another strong updraft then forcefully propelled the plane upward. This sudden lift allowed us to move above the cloud briefly, but our lead didn't last long. Our climb slowed, and the huge cloud was right there below us, ready to rise again. It was a clear reminder of nature's power, impressive but not malicious, challenging us simply by following the natural laws of physics. As the cloud came into view again, its familiar but intimidating form re-emerged, this time twisting in the opposite direction as if to trap them. Bruce and his father had thought they had escaped, but as they got closer to the cloud, moving at a slow 3 meters a minute, their sense of relief quickly faded. The cloud was enormous, seeming to rise directly from the ocean and reaching up to 40,000 feet, far above their small plane. Every escape plan they considered was overshadowed by a bigger problem. They couldn't fly below the cloud. Its base appeared to touch the surface of the ocean, leaving no room to slip under. Climbing over it wasn't an option either. The cloud was too high, a challenge their plane couldn't handle. Going around it would take them too far off their planned route, potentially causing them to run out of fuel before they could reach safety, a risk neither Bruce nor his father was willing to take. The situation looked hopeless. With each minute, the storm grew stronger, and Bruce's father, who usually kept his cool, began to show signs of worry. The repetition of their situation was wearing them down, each circle around the cloud draining their hope and patience. The cloud seemed to taunt them with its vast, swirling arms, more of a threat than a welcoming gesture. "Think! Think!" Bruce's father said over and over, flipping through the plane's manual as if it might have instructions on how to dodge supernatural weather. The uselessness of their efforts was clear, the cockpit filled with tense silence, broken only by the engine's hum and the occasional static of the radio, hopelessly scanning for a signal. As the storm formed in front of them, its center dark and uninviting, they saw lightning flash within it, casting menacing shadows through the clouds. The air felt heavy, charged with the looming danger they were trying to escape. Bruce glanced at his father, noticing the deep worry on his face, a clear sign that their troubles were far from over. They thought about turning around, going back to the brief clear sky they had enjoyed before. But going back seemed as daunting as pushing forward. There was no guarantee that the calm they had left still existed. So they decided to move forward into the storm, armed with little more than hope and a thin plan, clinging to the belief that the cloud's threatening presence wasn't completely solid. The world of flying, safety is usually the top priority, but on that day, the pilots, Bruce and his father, chose to fly directly into what seemed like a harmless cloud. This choice, made out of a need to reach their destination, quickly turned into regret. From the outside, the cloud looked soft and white, but inside, it was dark, like night had suddenly fallen. This darkness was broken by continuous bright flashes that didn't look like typical lightning, but were just as threatening. These flashes got stronger and more frequent the deeper they flew into the cloud. Bruce realized they were caught in an electrical storm, which was as bad as it sounds. The storm was over, but new challenges awaits. A daring escape from the eye of the storm. Bruce described the cloud as a huge donut hole, a big circle with no clear exit. After flying 10 miles through this dangerous cloud and trying to find a way out, Bruce noticed an opening shaped like an anvil, a shape that usually means a powerful storm is forming and you should steer clear. However, desperate times called for desperate measures, and this was their only chance at escape. Driven by the urgency of their situation, Bruce turned the plane 90 degrees to the right, aiming for the opening formed by two anvil-shaped clouds coming together. This tunnel, about a mile wide and stretching 10 to 15 miles, was their path to safety, with clear blue skies visible at the other end. At least that's what they thought. Entering the tunnel, Bruce felt something he had never felt in his 50 years of flying. A moment of weightlessness, almost like floating in water. The plane seemed to speed up, leaving trails of vapor behind. This strange feeling didn't last long, but it was unforgettable. When they came out of the tunnel, the feeling of floating stopped, but they were met with a view of the tunnel's walls, spinning slowly. They had made it through, but were left feeling confused and uneasy. Bruce turned to his father, who tried to use the flight instruments to figure out where they were, but the instruments were acting up, giving them no useful information. The compass, which should have shown them the way, was spinning backwards. Instead of the expected clear skies, they were greeted by a dull, grayish-white haze. This wasn't normal fog. It was thicker and darker, and strangely, they could see quite far through it. Bruce reached out to Miami's air traffic control for help. He hoped the plane's transponder, a piece of 1970s technology designed to help controllers track planes, would help them be found. But the controller had bad news. They couldn't see them on radar at all. Bruce's father, frustrated and running out of patience, took over the radio, hoping to get some useful information. But no help came. It was as if they had flown into a place where normal rules didn't apply. They were lost, not just physically, but also in understanding what was happening around them. They were flying blind, without any reliable tools or understanding of the strange conditions controlling their flight. Bruce's father's voice filled the cockpit with anger and disbelief as he yelled at the air traffic controller. "What do you mean you can't find us on radar?" he shouted, his words sharp and urgent. The controller on the other end could only offer a weak apology, his tone both confused and helpless. "Sorry," he said, a response that did nothing to ease the growing tension inside the aircraft. Bruce quickly ended the call, though he asked the controller to keep them updated on any radar changes. He then focused on calming his father and Chuck, whose faces showed clear signs of worry. Despite his reassurances, Bruce knew they were in a tough spot. They were flying without reliable guidance, as their compass was spinning out of control and useless. As the pilot, Bruce felt the weight of their difficult situation. With the compass not working and their location unknown, he recalled a basic technique from his aviation classes. He tried to calculate their direction using simple math to find true north, but it was better than nothing in their desperate situation. Bruce carefully worked out their heading, using his rough calculations to navigate through the sky. He reduced the plane's speed to 180 miles per hour to make it easier to handle, especially if they needed to quickly avoid more dangers like the threatening cloud they had just escaped. Time seemed to drag on, marked only by the sound of their watches and the plane's engine. 32 minutes after takeoff, Bruce redid their position calculations, each number jotted down quickly as the plane shook with turbulence. His methods were basic and based on guesses rather than precise navigation tools. Bruce and his dad had punched in their GPS coordinates with some confidence, figuring they were about 95 miles southwest of Miami and nearing the Bimini Islands. In the best case, they'd glide over Bimini Islands in about 6 or 7 minutes, if Bruce's often unreliable sense of direction was working right today. However, there was a real chance they could end up off course. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life as the voice of the Miami air traffic control operator came through loud and clear. He said he could see them, or more specifically, a plane heading straight west over Miami Beach. Bruce looked at his watch, puzzled. They had been flying for just 34 minutes. The whole trip was supposed to take 90 minutes in decent weather. "Are you sure that's us?" Bruce asked, his voice tinged with doubt as he adjusted the radio. The thought that they had traveled so far in such a short time seemed almost laughable. Out of the fog, their biggest test was still ahead. Nature's trick or aviation glitch? The controller was firm. "Yes, it's definitely you. You're the only plane I see on that path," he replied, his voice a mix of annoyance and urgency. Bruce and his father shared a worried glance. Could their GPS be wrong, or was the controller mixing things up? Mistakes like this could send them far off into the Atlantic, a risk they hadn't planned for. Bruce double-checked their coordinates against the physical map on his lap. The situation didn't feel right. Could it be a rookie controller not yet used to radar glitches, or was their own equipment failing them at a crucial time? Relying just on technology or the controller's words could turn a normal flight into a risky ordeal, something neither Bruce nor his dad wanted. They had to decide quickly, especially with nightfall approaching and their route still unclear. As the fog cleared, Bruce struggled to accept what was happening. The flight controller had claimed they'd reached Miami in less than an hour, a notion that seemed absurd. Bruce wondered if there had been a mistake. Maybe the controller was tracking the wrong plane. Yet, as the fog lifted, it appeared that they were indeed flying over Miami Beach. The flight controller's statement was accurate. They had unexpectedly landed at their destination. Bruce and the other passengers were relieved, yet confused. They were safe from the dense fog, but disoriented by how they had covered such a distance so quickly. Conversations swirled among the passengers, pondering if it was a technical error or some unusual weather pattern that had accelerated their flight. This incident reminded many of the strange accounts associated with the Bermuda Triangle, where similar time anomalies and sudden weather shifts had been reported. Theories circulated about potential technical malfunctions or rare atmospheric conditions that might explain the swift travel. Bruce and his fellow travelers considered relating their experience to a rare but fortunate aviation anomaly. However, lingering doubts remained. Was this simply a natural occurrence, or something not fully understood in commercial flying? As similar stories emerged, aviation experts and weather scientists began to take these unusual events more seriously, recognizing that these were not just random occurrences. The unresolved questions led to much speculation. Some wondered if the reliability of standard aviation instruments and flight paths might sometimes be off. Others considered a more unsettling idea, that perhaps there are aspects of air travel not fully disclosed, hidden like the clouds that had just revealed Bruce's quick arrival in Miami. This ongoing debate made the clear skies, once a sign of safety, now a reminder of unresolved and intriguing questions. Christopher Columbus, at the end of the 1400s, sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, aiming to discover new lands. In his records, he noted seeing a huge fireball dive into the ocean, followed by a strange light a few weeks later, and odd behavior from his compass, similar incidents to those reported in the modern-day Bermuda Triangle. Columbus's descriptions, jotted down quickly in his ship's log, suggest early encounters with these odd events that have since become the stuff of maritime legends. Linking Columbus's old experiences with the tales of today's Bermuda Triangle, where ships and planes are said to run into trouble, might seem compelling. The area, often referred to as the Devil's Triangle, is a hotspot for dramatic stories of unusual occurrences that grab headlines and spark the imagination. These stories appeal to those who enjoy suspense and the thrill of the unexplained, turning natural events and navigation mistakes into tales of supernatural occurrences. As Columbus once wrote about unusual compass readings and lights, today's triangle enthusiasts draw connections where there might be none. Each story from the 15th century or today helps keep the Bermuda Triangle in the spotlight as a place full of danger and drama, a lucrative topic for those who profit from the unclear and the unproven. In this way, fact and fiction mix, making the triangle a subject that continues to captivate and sell, kept alive by our fascination with the unknown and the unconfirmed. Over the years, the Bermuda Triangle has been the scene of many strange disappearances and incidents, sparking a range of wild theories and speculative guesses. Take, for example, the event 3 years ago when a passenger jet traveling from Puerto Rico to Miami disappeared. The 29 passengers and 3 crew members on board were never found, prompting endless debate about what could be happening in this notorious area of the ocean. One popular theory is that leftover technology from the supposed ancient land of Atlantis is causing these issues, especially pointing to an underwater rock formation known as the Bimini Road off the Bahamas. Supporters of this theory claim that ancient energies from Atlantis interfere with modern equipment. Others suggest the presence of a parallel universe within the triangle, which they say causes a time-space distortion that swallows up ships and planes. Some even believe that aliens are involved, with UFOs supposedly seen in the area. While it's tempting to believe in more bizarre explanations, the real reasons behind the events in the Bermuda Triangle often turn out to be natural phenomena or human mistakes. What typically seems unexplainable can usually be explained by environmental factors and the limitations of earlier navigation technology. Their quick arrival hinted at deeper puzzles. How magnetite and methane affect travel in the Bermuda Triangle. Consider the Bermuda Triangle, known for causing navigation problems. The main issue seems to be the region's magnetite-rich limestone, which can throw off a compass. Even a small rock from Bermuda can cause enough disruption to lead a ship off course, potentially causing it to crash into unseen obstacles. Aircraft are not immune to these disruptions. Pilots relying on their navigation instruments might find themselves off track due to these magnetic disturbances. A slight error might not seem serious at first, but over the vast ocean, even a small mistake can lead to significant problems, potentially resulting in a plane being lost. Let's also look at another interesting factor in the triangle: methane hydrates. This type of natural gas found along continental shelves was shown in Australian experiments to release bubbles that can make the water less dense. If a ship encounters such a bubble, it could suddenly sink because the water can't support it as well. Over time, any remains of the ship might either settle on the ocean floor or be scattered by ocean currents. The Bermuda Triangle disappearances have long captured the imagination of the curious. Some believe that the ocean hides natural phenomena capable of explaining these strange events. Magnetic rocks that disrupt compasses and gas bubbles that destabilize water surfaces are among the suggested culprits. Such theories offer a glimpse into the possible, yet they also underline the sheer unpredictability and complexity of the natural world. The ocean's untamed nature make it a destructive force where human error can easily go unnoticed or misunderstood. These scientific propositions, while providing some insight, also serve as a